And we would like to welcome Prabhuji by loudly chanting 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Amritari Prabhu, it's 8:10 in India here. How long should I continue? Like, how much time do I have?
Prabhu, we can continue for an hour and then a question answers.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Let's begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वंदे श्री गुरु दीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna. So I am very grateful to all of you for coming early in the morning to the temple to discuss on Srimad Bhagavatam. I was instructed that I can speak on the specific section of Bhagavatam where we find a great dilemma. Right? Life is full of dilemmas, confusions, catch-22 situations, and such situations are often brought about in the scriptures to give us a better understanding of how to come out of those confusions and dilemmas. One such confusion is when Ashwatthama is caught by Arjuna, and there's a different opinion that Draupadi says we should show mercy, and Bhima says justice. How do you balance justice and mercy? Justice is done on the basis of some law, some written codes, but mercy expects you to go beyond, give a chance, right? So Draupadi says one thing, Bhima says another, and Arjuna doesn't understand what to do, but Krishna says, Arjuna, you have to satisfy all of us. Draupadi should be satisfied, Bhima should be satisfied, and still the situation should be handled properly. Right? So Arjuna, in that confusion, makes a decision. Right? So we will discuss something on that. This is so out of the whole section, which is between texts, first canto, 7th chapter, 49th verse to 58th verse. Right? So Yudhishthir Maharaj supports Draupadi. Right? Nakul, Sahadev, right? They support Draupadi. Krishna also supports Draupadi, but Bhima disagrees. Bhima says this Ashwatthama should be killed, right? And everyone else says no, he should be pardoned. And Krishna tells Arjuna, you settle the matter now. So Arjuna understands that Krishna wants that he should be killed and not killed. How do you do it? Right? So for that, we will, this is, so I'll also discuss something, a very specific instance in Mahabharata, similar catch-22 situation, confusion situation for Arjuna, where Krishna gives a story. And from that story, Krishna describes the mystery of morality. Right? So this session could be a little technical when I am discussing this. In case there's something that you're not able to follow or I'm not able to explain, please keep it parked for the the session at the end of the session when we will take questions. So we will take 53rd and 54th verse. where specifically first canto, 7th chapter, 53rd and 54th verse, where Krishna specifically instructs Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Brahma Bandhurna Hantavya Atatai Vadharhanaha Mayyevo Bhayam Amnatam Paripahya Anushasanam Kuru Pratishrutam Satyam Yattat Shant Vayatta Priyam Priyam Cha Bhimasenasya Panchalya Mahyamevacha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna said, a friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed. But if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimasen and me. Purport. Arjuna was perplexed because Ashwatthama was to be killed as well as spared according to different scriptures cited by different persons. As a Brahmabandhu or a worthless son of a Brahmana, Ashwatthama was not to be killed. But he was at the same time an aggressor also. And according to the rulings of Manu, an aggressor, even though he be a Brahmana, and what to speak of an unworthy son of a Brahmana, is to be killed. Dronacharya was certainly a Brahmana in the true sense of term, but because he stood in the battlefield, he was killed. But although Ashwatthama was an aggressor, he stood without any fighting weapons. The ruling is that an aggressor, when he is without weapon or chariot, cannot be killed. All these were certainly perplexities. Besides that, Arjuna had to keep the promise he had made before Draupadi just to pacify her. Right? And he also had to satisfy both Bhima and Krishna, who advised killing him. This dilemma was present before Arjuna, and the solution was awarded by Krishna. So, the whole story begins where we find Ashwatthama in the middle of the night. He entered the Pandavas' camp. At the end of the battle, Duryodhan is lying, half dead next to the pond. And Ashwatthama decides, along with Kritavarman and Kripacharya, he decides, I will avenge. They have hit Duryodhana in an unjust way. So Ashwatthama decides, anyways, dharma codes have been broken. I will push dharma down the drain now. I will kill the Pandavas while they are sleeping. But what happens? Krishna cites some scriptures and tells Pandavas, when we have won the battle, we should not sleep in our tents. We should go out and sleep we will go out for a meeting. And he decides that let us sleep here itself under this big tree, banyan tree. And Ashwatthama enters the camp and he sees that the tents are empty. The Pandavas are not sleeping there. But when he enters one of the tents, he sees the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. And he decides, I will kill them. While they are sleeping, these young children, they are hacked to death. Their heads severed from their body. And Ashwatthama collects all these heads in a plate, 5 heads, and he goes to the pond where Duryodhan is lying half dead. And Ashwatthama gives the good news. According to him, he gives the good news to the dying Duryodhan. I have avenged the injustice done to you. I have killed the 5 sleeping Pandavas, he tells him. And Duryodhan says, Pandavas, Ashwatthama, you could kill them? I cannot trust. He says, I have brought their heads. And Duryodhan says, bring them. And while Duryodhan is lying half dead, with his left hand, he touches one of the heads and he crushes that head. And Duryodhan starts crying. Oh, Ashwathama, this is not any of the, this is not the head of any of the Pandavas. You have killed the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. Right? They are Pandu Putras, they are not Pandavas. And Duryodhan is crying. He says, I would have gone to heaven because I would have died a Kshatriya's death. But because of your act, now I'll have to go to hell. And in that pain, Duryodhan dies. Ashwathama, understanding that this has happened, he decides, I want to, I now he has already killed the, mistakenly believing that they are Pandavas. He has killed the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. Now, after committing that heinous act, Ashwathama tries to escape. But Arjuna pursues him. Arjuna captures him. Right? And, okay, I'll cut the story short. He releases the Brahmastra weapon. To save himself from Arjuna, Ashwathama releases a Brahmastra weapon without proper control over it. But Krishna tells Arjuna, you release the Brahmastra weapon from your side and retract both of them. And Arjuna offers prayers to Krishna, takes his blessings, and retracts the Brahmastra that he had sent. And Prabhupada says it's million times more powerful than nuclear weapon. So Arjuna strikes the Brahmastra, neutralizes the other one, and retracts both. Right? So now what does Ashwathama do? He releases the Brahmastra again. But this time he targets the unborn child in Uttara's womb, the last of the Pandavas. So Arjuna's son is Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu's wife is Uttara, and Uttara was having Parikshit in the womb. So Ashwathama releases the last Brahmastra again, aiming to end the Pandava lineage. Right? And again, Krishna, now this time Krishna expands himself to save Parikshit in Uttara's womb. Right? Now, with all this, Draupadi, she is overcome with grief and anger, and she urges her husband's Pandavas to capture Ashwathama. Right? And Arjuna decides, yes, I am going behind him. Right? So Arjuna sets out to capture Ashwathama, and he eventually succeeds. And he brings Ashwathama back to Pandavas camp, and Draupadi, this time Draupadi, who had said, catch him, right? And practically she had hinted that I will, bathe with his blood and all. I'll not go into that gory details of Mahabharata, but Draupadi, now when she sees Ashwathama, she pleads for mercy. Right? She understands that my sons have been killed and I am crying. Similarly, Dronacharya's wife, she only has Ashwathama as her son, and if we kill Ashwathama, even Dronacharya's wife Kripi, she will also go through the same pain as me. And Draupadi especially emphasizes on the importance of respecting the teacher's family. Right? Now, Draupadi wants mercy, and Bhima, and practically everyone takes Draupadi's side. Bhima goes on and says, no, we have to administer justice. He's an Atatai, he's an aggressor, he must be killed. Right? Now Krishna smiles and looks at Arjuna, and he says, Arjuna, this is a situation of perplexity, confusion. You settle it. Draupadi should be pleased, and I and Bhima also should be pleased. Now Arjuna understands that Krishna wants the solution in a very unique way. Now Arjuna, what does he do? He humiliates Ashwathama by cutting off his hairs and taking out the jewel from his forehead, but he spares his life. Right? And this is how he balances justice and mercy. Right? So, okay, what should we understand from this? we understand from this entire incident that in the material world, we will be constantly facing perplexities at each and every step. Right? A lot of time in life, we go into confusion, a state of confusion, a loss of composure, uh, inability to take decisions. So many junctures of our life. And this dilemma that one may come across, is all the more acute. mm, Uh, See, the dilemma is not to choose between the good and the evil. The dilemma arises when you have to choose between two evils or between two virtues. What do you do then? So it becomes all the more difficult to choose the lesser evil or the greater virtue according to the situation. What is the lesser evil now? What is greater virtue here? Right? So what do we do? That's why we refer to scriptures. Krishna says in the Gita, Yaha Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Vartate Kamakaharatah Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. Krishna says, no. Arjuna, always Yaha Shastra Vidhim Uts. Don't give upon scriptures. Always go back to scriptures. The codes written there. Just like in case we have some matter in court, the court does not work on the basis of emotions, your likes or dislikes. The court works on the basis of constitution, a book, a document, right? With lot of past cases and histories also mentioned. So in our life, whenever we are in perplexity, whenever we are in confusion, Krishna's instruction is always refer to the scriptures. Like going to specific verses, what should I apply now? What should I do now? The scriptures have the knowledge there, right? If scriptures is something that we do not have the hang of, if I can say like that, then we refer to guru or sadhus, experienced teachers, experienced spiritual practitioners, right? So, of course, the scriptures do give us the guidance, but the scriptural injunctions are dynamic and sometimes they are full of subtle nuances and implications, right? And because they are dynamic and because they're full of subtle nuances, we require the guidance of a representative of God, one who can explain the scriptural instruction to me to come to the correct conclusion. That's why there's a verse spoken by Yudhishthir Maharaj in the Mahabharata. Tarko pratishto shrutayo vibhinna nasa muniryasya matam na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihita guhaya mahang jano ye nagata sapanta. So Yudhishthir Maharaj says dry arguments are inconclusive. And Muni, somebody is to be known as a thoughtful person, a thinker. Oh, you will be called a thinker only if your opinion differs from somebody else, or you have a different opinion. Unless you have a different opinion, a separate opinion, you are not considered a great sage. Yudhishthir Maharaj says the Vedas, the study of the Vedas, which are so variegated, one cannot come to the right conclusion. So he says the solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of self-realized people. Dharmasya tattva nihita guhaya. The essence of dharma is very good, guhaya, very secret. Right? That's why mahajano ye nagata sapantaha. So as the Shastras confirm, right, one is expected that one wants to, come out of confusion, one will have to go to a Mahajana advocate. One has to come to a person who understands the purport of the scriptures. That's why Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 7th verse, Prabhupada writes there, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. this material world will bring us to our knees. Such perplexity sometimes. Kya kare, kya na kare? What to do, what not to do? What is right? What is wrong? What is better right? What is lesser wrong? Right? Prabhupada says, in every step there is perplexity. And therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. Very beautiful. While you solve dilemmas, perplexities, confusions, we should not lose the sight of the goal of life. That also has to be kept into reference and then understand what is right. So Prabhupada says all Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. So Prabhupada says the Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. And Prabhupada says a person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. So we discussed two solutions till now. Approach the scriptures. Right? Scriptures give us the right direction. And when scriptures we are not able to comprehend, then surely go to the Mahajanas, to go to the spiritual master, go to those who are advanced on the spiritual path. They can show us the way. Right? Let us discuss famous dilemmas of Arjuna. Here also Arjuna is in a dilemma. What should I do? We'll discuss two. The first is at the beginning of the war. In the very beginning of the Mahabharata war, you find Arjuna was subject to a kind of dilemma, right, where he was thinking whether it is right on his part to fight and kill his relatives who are on the opposite side, or should he withdraw from the fight. Second chapter, 6th verse, Arjuna says, Nachaitad vidma kataranno gariyo yadva jayem yadivano jayeyu yan eva hatva najji vishamas te avastita pramukhe dharta rashtraha. Arjuna says, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. And that famous dilemma of Arjuna is the reason we have Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explained in detail to Arjuna. Krishna explained in details to Arjuna and brings him to conclusion. Yes, I am meant to fight the war. Right? The second, and especially here, Krishna, in this second confusion of Arjuna, second situation that I'm quoting here now, Krishna explains this, the mystery of morality. Like I mentioned at the beginning. When was this second dilemma of Arjuna that we are discussing? It is very interesting incident. It takes place on the 17th day of the war. The first day of the war, Arjuna came out of confusion by listening to Bhagavad Gita. On the 17th day of the war, just prior to the slaying of Karna by Arjuna, right? So this particular episode has many great lessons, right, which are valid even today. Now what happens? Karna and Yudhishthir enter into a duel. And Karna defeats Yudhishthir very badly. And Yudhishthir suffers very serious injuries. Somehow his charioteer, he carries him back to the camp, and Yudhishthir is put on the bed, made to rest and recover. Now, Arjuna at a far distance, was fighting very valiantly with one army which is called Samspatakas. Right? Right. Uh, while he's fighting, he stops the fight and he approaches Bhim. And he tells Bhima, he inquires from Bhima, I cannot see Yudhishthir's flag. He was in a duel with Karna. I know Yudhishthir is not a match, right? But somehow I was dragged away from him, and the Samspatakas were they were holding me, but I've come out of that, that battle. But where is Yudhishthir? And Bhimsen tells Arjuna that the king was badly injured fighting Karna. Arjuna, he then requests Bhimsen, do you mind going to the camp and check how is our old, elder brother's health? Bhimsen refuses. I never go away from the battle. That's my vow. I refuse to go. And he says, I cannot go away from the battlefield, leaving a fight in between. And Bhima, he instructs Arjuna, you go and check Yudhishthir. Right? And he says, don't worry. I will take care of these samspatakas. Nothing will happen. Don't worry. I will take care of them. Now, Arjuna, he heeds to Bhimsen's advice, and Arjuna returns to the camp with Krishna and approaches Yudhishthir. And Yudhishthir, who is very weak on account of his injuries, as soon as he sees Arjuna, coming into the tent, Yudhishthir is so happy in his heart. He mistakenly assumes that Arjuna must have avenged, right, his injuries by killing Karna. And that's why Arjuna has returned to give him the news. Right? And, the insult that Yudhishthir underwent, he's supposed to be the king, but he lost. And the injuries, that Karna inflicted, Yudhishthir is very angry at him. His anger is very acute. As soon as Yudhishthir asks Arjuna, have you come to tell me of Karna's killing by your hands? I'm so happy that you have killed Karna. But Arjuna replies, no, I did not. I have come here only to check your health, and I will return back and kill Karna. And Yudhishthir becomes so disappointed. He's such a disappointed person. He resorts to berating Arjuna. Right? And Yudhishthir vents out all his frustration at Arjuna. And he accuses Arjuna that you deserted Bhimsen and you have run away from the battlefield. And in the heat of the moment, Yudhishthir asks Arjuna, he says, give up your Gandiva. Why are you holding this Gandiva? And he says, I will better, instruct Bhimsen or Krishna to kill Karna. Two things. Don't give up your Gandiva. And second thing, Yudhishthir says in a fit of anger, better Bhimsen and Krishna, I will tell them, they will kill Karna, you cannot. And this statement, makes Arjuna extremely furious. And Arjuna draws out his sword and rushes towards his brother to kill him. Somehow Krishna stops him. And Krishna says, what? What is the reason? Why did you draw out your sword? And Arjuna replies to Krishna, see, after I finished my education at Dronacharya's school, actually every Kshatriya is supposed to have a secret vow that they make. Arjuna tells Krishna, I have a secret vow that if anybody ever tells me, give up your Gandiva vow, that person shall be slain by me. I will kill that person. Right? And in those days, Kshatriyas, they had the habit of, keeping vows or making secret vows. Right? And Arjuna had vowed at any cost. Right? Now, this will happen. Now, Arjuna tells Krishna that he has to stick to his vow at any cost. And hence, he'll have to kill Yudhishthir. And Krishna tells him that, Arjuna, what a mistake you're making. Such senseless insistence on fulfilling your vow. Krishna reminds him of his bigger dharma. The bigger dharma is to win the war, and you're going to kill the king for whom the entire war is being. But Arjuna, but what about my vow? And Arjuna says, I'm in dilemma. So Krishna tells Arjuna, see, it will be sinful on your part to kill your brother. And he chastises Arjuna, right? Do you understand the subtle course of morality? You do not. And Krishna proceeds on to tell Arjuna that I will tell you the mystery connected with morality. He tells, O Dhananjay, listen to me. One who speaks truth is righteous. There is nothing higher than truth. Behold, Arjuna, truth as practiced is exceedingly difficult to be understood. Right? How the truth is to be applied, what is a higher truth, what is to be done in situations. So Krishna tells there are certain occasions when we cannot tell the truth, and we may even speak falsehood, and in those occasions falsehood would become truth and truth would become false. Right? Krishna tells Arjuna, he is a fool who practices truth without knowing the difference between the truth and falsehood. And Krishna tells Arjuna, one is said to be conversant with morality when one can distinguish between truth and falsehood. Right? Then Krishna says, Arjuna, do you remember the story? He says that a man of wisdom, by committing even a cruel act, may obtain a great merit. Right? Even by committing a cruel act, one may obtain a great merit. And Krishna hints, like Valaka by the slaughter of the blind beast. He slaughtered the blind beast, but he attained great merit. And he says, what wonder again, Arjuna, that a person who after speaking the truth earns great sin like Kaushika. So two names were dropped. Valaka, who by slaughter, attained great merit, and Kaushika, who by speaking truth earned great sin. So Krishna proceeds to narrate the stories of Valaka and Kaushika. So Vasudev, Vyasadeva says, Vasudev said to Arjuna, Krishna tells, O Bharata, hey Arjun, O Bharata, one time there was a hunter of animals by the name Valaka. And he was very devoted to the duties of his order of being a hunter. And he would always speak the truth, never harboring malice. He would also support his parents and others that depended upon him. And one day, he went about in the forest searching for animals with great perseverance and care. But the whole day passed and he did not get sight of even one animal. At last, at the end of the day, he saw a beast of prey drinking water at a pond. Right? Valaka had never seen such an animal before. Still, he killed the beast immediately, right? But he found that that animal was blind, right? Now, after the slaughter of that blind beast, suddenly what happened? A shower of celestial flowers, right? Celestial flowers were showered from the skies upon the head of this hunter Valaka, right? And a celestial car, Vaikuntha Viman, very delightful, resounding with the songs of Apsaras and music being played. This Swarga Vahan, not Vaikuntha Vahan, sorry, Swarga Vahan, this vehicle which came from the heaven, it took Valaka to the Swarga. Like what? Blind animal killed while drinking water. That's not what's supposed to be done, but yet he got the merit of going to Swarga. Krishna says that beast, right, that animal which was killed, actually, that he had undergone great ascetic austerities, obtained a boon, and this person who became an animal later was destroying all the creatures, right? Even though it is not correct to kill a blind animal, Valaka went on to go to heaven because he saved all other creatures from unnecessary violence. Right? Now, this is the story of Valaka, who apparently not following dharma, apparently goes to heaven. Krishna then goes on to narrate the story of Kaushika. He says, one time there was an ascetic of the name Kaushika without much knowledge of scriptures. And he lived at a spot away from the village and at a place where, three rivers met. And this ascetic Kaushika, he had made a vow. I must always speak the truth. I will never lie. And he became the celebrated speaker of truth, Satyavan. And at that time, this person, when he was sitting, when Kaushika was sitting under a tree, at one time, a few people, they they came running that side in the fear of robbers, and they went past the tree and entered, the forest behind. Right? Kaushika was under the tree, sitting under the tree. He observed that some people, in great fear, came running that side and went into the forest. And a little later, the robbers, filled with rage, they were searching for these people. They approached Kaushika, the speaker of truth, Satyavan, and they asked him, "O Holy One, by which path did those men, they came running this side, which path did they take?" Right? And please speak in the name of truth. Don't lie to us, answer us truthfully. Have you seen them? Tell us. And Kaushika decided, yes, I will speak the truth. And he told the robbers, those men have entered the woods behind, where the trees and creepers and plants are there. And these cruel robbers, they entered the forest and they killed all those men. Right? And in consequence of that great sin, right, the words were truth, but because so many got killed, Kaushika was ignorant of the subtleties of morality. He fell into a grievous hell. So Krishna says, a foolish man of little knowledge, unaware of the distinctions of morality, falls into a painful hell by not asking persons of age for the solution of his doubts. When you are in dilemma, go to right people and ask, what does morality say now at this situation, right? So Krishna concludes by telling Arjuna, dharma protects and preserves the people. And that's why the great knowledgeable people, saints, they are the ones who maintain dharma. So Krishna tells, I have narrated you the story indicating what dharma says. Here in this, you decide whether Yudhishthir is to be slaughtered by you or not. Should you be killing Yudhishthir now with your sword or not? And Arjuna was still looking bewildered. I don't understand still. What do I do? Should I remain attached to my vow? Because I have to fulfill my vow. But I should not kill my elder. That also is there. What do I do? So Krishna tells Arjuna that the only way one can kill an elder is by insulting them. If you insult an elder, is as good as killing them. So instead of killing Yudhishthir by his sword, Arjuna killed Yudhishthir by insulting him. So that way Krishna said, you have kept your vow intact. You killed Yudhishthir and yet you did not kill Yudhishthir. Right? But the story doesn't end there. After a while, Arjuna felt bad that he insulted his brother. Now you can imagine what must have been said by Arjuna. You were the one who wanted to, sit in that gambling match. You were the one who stopped us. Otherwise, till now, everyone would have been killed on, Dhritarashtra's side. But this war and everything is because of you. And Yudhishthir felt insulted. And Arjuna felt bad that he insulted his brother. Now, what did he do? Then Arjuna quickly took out the sword once again. For what? This time Arjuna wanted to behead himself. I have done such a great sin of, insulting my brother. Again, Krishna stopped him from committing suicide. And again, Krishna came up with another solution. And Krishna told Arjuna, as per dharma, self-praising and boasting in public is a sin, and which is equivalent to one's own death. When you self-praise, right, or you boast in public is as good as killing yourself. So Lord Krishna, he instructs Arjuna, you boast about yourself in public, which will again not just fulfill Arjuna's desire to commit suicide, but will also keep his vow intact. Right? So from these stories from Mahabharata, what do we understand? That human life is too complex, right? You cannot put, situation in a straight jacket compartment of, black and white. There are many gray areas. Dharmasya tattva nihita guhaya. And these gray areas are very difficult to comprehend and explain. So human life is very complicated, right? And so are the values that are supposed to guide our behavior, with a sense of right and wrong. So Sri Prabhupada states that only those who are expert in knowing the nuances of scriptures, like Krishna is guiding here, right? They know perfectly well how to adjust religious principles in terms of time and place, right? Like in India, a sannyasi, the scriptural rule is the sannyasi should not cross the boundary of India. But Prabhupada went. Why? But Prabhupada said, I never crossed the line of dharma. I only went to spread dharma. And so many things Prabhupada began seeing the Western situation, right? Like all of you are sitting in the temple, right? A traditional temple will not look like this. In the kind of temple that you are sitting now, if you come to India, and especially, North Indian temples are like broken and torn apart by these Muslim invaders, Islamic invaders, sorry. But South India, if you go, original temples are still there. And you will find the deities are generally, in a dark Garbha Gopuram. And what? Garbhagriha. And the pujari will come to you and ask, sir, what is your name and what is your gotra? And then he'll put camphor on a plate and he will lit the camphor. And the pujari goes in. And then with that camphor, in that camphor light, he will give you the darshan of the deities. Little by little, every limb of the deity is shown. Then he will bring that camphor, burning camphor close to you, and then you're supposed to keep your hand on it and touch your eyes. May this light, open the darkened eyes that I have and reveal me and give me the darshan of the Lord. But now when you are sitting in the temple, you get darshan in a floodlight. There's a floodlight put on the deities. And you're like, wow, they're so, Radha Krishna, so beautiful. But that's not how a temple is supposed to be traditionally. But Prabhupada, an expert in understanding the scriptural nuances and how to apply them as time, place, and circumstance, change things, right? So many that way, right? So that is in Bhagavatam, it is called Desha Kala Vibhagavit. As per time, place, and circumstance, the same instructions can be changed or could be changed. But who does that? The adjustment of the religious principles have to be done by the great acharyas, right? So what do we understand? It is not just law that wins. It is the law with love that wins. It is not justice that wins. It is justice with mercy that wins. It is not truth that wins. It is truth with compassion that wins, right? And Krishna shows us through his various pastimes, right, how to understand the nuances of dharma. So when we take shelter of Krishna, who is the protector of dharma, who is the giver of dharma, Krishna reveals. So Srila Prabhupada, in the 4th canto, 24th chapter, 42nd verse, Srila Prabhupada quotes a beautiful verse from Mahabharata. What is our dharma? Yacha veda vido vipra yecha adhyatma vido janah te vadanti mahatmanam krishnam dharmam sanatanam. What is the purport? Prabhupada said one has to study the Vedas perfectly, right? And one has to go to a Vipra who is the knower of the Vedas, who knows how to apply these Vedas, right? So when we take shelter of Krishna, when we engage in the devotional service of Krishna, right? Like I said, Arjuna offered prayers to Krishna before leaving his Brahmastra. When we perform devotional service, Krishna gives us the intelligence to act. So first solution I had said was go to scriptures when in dilemma. Second, go to persons who know how to apply scriptures as per time, place, and circumstances. Third solution, right? When we perform sincere devotional service, loving devotional service, then Krishna from within gives the intelligence how to act properly in all circumstances, even though material life be full of perplexities. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Krishna is saying in the 10th chapter, 10th verse, those who are satata yukta, constantly engaged in loving devotional service to me, what do? Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give them buddhi. I give them intelligence. Yenamam upayanti te. How they can come back to me, right? So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 70th chapter, you find one extreme of a case where Krishna also seeks advice. Now, from whom did Krishna seek advice in a situation of dilemma? That situation, Krishna seeks advice from Uddhava. Right? So, what had happened? What happens there is that Narada arrives in the Sudharma assembly. In Dwarka, there is an assembly house which is called Sudharma. Narada arrives and says, Krishna, you should leave for Hastinapur. Maharaj Yudhishthir has requested you to please, attend the great Rajasuya sacrifice. But before Narada arrived, Krishna and his ministers and secretaries, they had been considering how to attack Jarasandha. Why? Because, thousands and thousands of, kings were, kept in capture by Jarasandha, and they had written a letter to Krishna, please deliver us. So while Krishna and his ministers are discussing how to, go to Jarasandha's kingdom, Narada comes by and says, no, you should go to Hastinapur. Now there is a dilemma. What should be done? Right? Now Krishna, understood this dilemma, right? And Krishna, to pacify them, he smilingly spoke to Uddhava. Tvam hinah praramam chakshu surin mantrartha tattvavid athatra bruhi anustheyam shraddadhamah karavam tat. What did Krishna tell Uddhava? Krishna says, you are indeed our best eye and closest friend. For you know perfectly the relative value of various kinds of counsel. Therefore, please tell us what should be done in this situation. We trust your judgment and we shall do as you say. And what did the great minded Uddhava reply? He could understand that Krishna desires to do both. Save the kings kept in capture by Jarasan, and Krishna also wants to, go to Hastinapur. And he very intelligently advises how both the purposes could be simultaneously accomplished. Right? So Uddhava says, what is the point of doing a Rajasuya Yajna unless you have conquered all the directions? So if Jarasan is still opposing, right, what is the point of doing Rajasuya Yajna if he's still standing on the opposite side? He tells Krishna, you should first accept the invitation to participate in the Rajasuya sacrifice. Right? Go there, take Bhima and Arjuna. Yes, I have come. I'm going to be here. But take Arjuna and Bhima with you and then go to Jarasan's kingdom and then kill Jarasan, right? And then, all these kings, can be released from their capture. Both things will happen. In this way, the king's request for protection also will be fulfilled automatically. Right? Now, Krishna could solve all the dilemma. He could have, but he wanted to bring about the lesson that whenever in perplexity, go to somebody in knowledge. Right? And we can quote so many opposite examples in scriptures. In Ramayana, you find Ravana, he calls upon a meeting one time of all his leading Rakshasas after he has witnessed how Hanuman devastated Lanka. A meeting is called, and Ravana loudly proclaims to everyone. He says, the root cause of victory is good counsel. That is why I have called you all here. And Ravana gives a great theory to everyone. He says, there are three classes of people. There are three classes of men in this world. He says, the first kind of a guy is, before acting, the wise person will take the counsel of superiors and friends who have common interests. Then according to their advice, one exerts oneself to the full capacity, right? And also depending on providence. So the wisest person will take counsel. He says the mediocre person, he thinks over the matter himself, considering things in the light of one's own understanding, and then acts accordingly. He says the vilest of men, the third class men, are those who entirely give up faith in God and perform their actions whimsically without a sense of deep duty. They're unable to properly judge what is beneficial, what is harmful, and such people just go ahead blindly. No matter what, I will do what I like. After speaking so much, Ravana, what do we find in Ramayana? Ravana never took the advice of his well-wishers. Kumbhakarna, Mandodari, they all advised Ravana. Give up Sita. Let Sita go away. All the ministers, they were flattering him. Oh, they were trying to impress Ravana. They were never his well-wishers. Kumbhakarna said, Mandodari said, even Vibhishan tried hard to convince Ravana, but Vibhishan was thrown out. Right? Similarly, what happens to us? Blinded by our ego, we are also hesitant to approach, our elders or well-wishers for advice. We think, I know better. I can resolve all situations. I don't need to ask. And am I a child to go and take counsel? Am I a kid that I need help from others? This is what our ego does. So either we don't approach for the advice, or even if we approach, right, we don't later take sincere efforts to follow that advice, and we end up acting whimsically. So many examples from life we can take. When we were told, don't do this, right? Or the voice within was tells us, don't do. Our well-wishers tell us, don't do. But our ego tells us, no, you prove yourself. You are the unique one. You are special. And as a result, we suffer, right? And we go through so many problems because of our whimsical, behavior. Right? So, but if we heed to good advice and well-wishers, right, of our well-wishers, we'll be saved, right? So, we should sometimes, superficially not seek advice and later act as per our own wish. At the beginning of the Kurukshetra battle, Arjuna was in dilemma whether I should fight or not. But he took good advice of Krishna, right? And upon advice of Krishna, he emerged victorious. And the Gita ends with that. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna and wherever there is Arjuna, there will be victory. Right? And in the purport to first canto, 9th chapter, 12th verse, Prabhupada says, as long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. Right? So, sometimes, okay, I'll give a practical situation and I'll finish with that. Right? Like in ISKCON, sometimes you'll find people take initiation, devotees take initiation, and they'll receive certain instruction, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 relative principles. But then the dilemma comes. But what about my previous practices? What about the previous culture that I'm from, the traditional customs, the religious rituals that I was performing? Can I continue? Should I be doing it? Should I not be doing it? Right? At that time, we have to understand, right, that taking initiation of a bona fide spiritual master, taking guidance of scriptures, right, one should know how to balance and how to still carry out the purpose of life. Right? Okay, I'll stop here. I have already gone beyond time. It's already 9:07 at my end. I will stop, and in case you have any questions, maybe some things will get clarified there. Okay, the entire section is in dilemma, in perplexity, what to do. We discussed go to scriptures. If not scriptures, then you go to learned personalities who can understand, who can tell you how to apply the scriptures as per time, place, and circumstance. Then I said, when you perform sincere, loving, devotional service, Krishna from within also gives intelligence. Seek good advice, never behave whimsically, always understand the pros and cons, and yet know the best solution is which makes you always keep the goal in sight. The goal was to purify one's heart and go back home, back to Godhead. Don't try to become the good man of this world. The good man or a good woman will not remain in this world. They will want to be part of the good world, the Vaikuntha. Right? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We request devotees to come here and ask questions. The mic is not working.
If they have any questions, then they can come.
Yes.
Then they may come.
Anybody would like to ask any questions? Maybe, Prabhu, I can ask one.
No, if there are no questions, then I would like to congratulate all of you for conducting the Rath Yatra in the coming week. The Rath Yatra is a very, very special event. Generally we go to the temple to take darshan. Rath Yatra is one event in India. Millions and millions of people, they come and take part in this Rath Yatra event, which happens at Jagannath Puri. Right? So there's a word. So the Islamic invaders, even the Britishers, they tried to stop this Rath Yatra, right? But they could not. And the Britishers, they were so amazed. No, newspaper, event is, published. No invitations are sent. Suddenly, millions of people come in this town. From where do they come? The whole town is full of people, devotees. And what happens the next day? Boom, all are gone. Where did they come from? Where did they go? Nobody knows. And the Britishers were so mesmerized with this, they even tried to stop. And with, so actually, if you have heard of a word in English called juggernaut, the juggernaut rolls on. That's the proverb. Something that you cannot stop, juggernaut. Actually, Britishers could not, say the word, Jagannath. So they would say juggernaut. So that's how it has come into English. Juggernaut rolls on, right? So this Jagannath Yatra is when God comes, Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, he comes on his chariot to you, to the devotee, to give his darshan. And they say, Ratham tu Vamanam Drishtva Punarjanmana Vidyate. If you take darshan of Jagannath on the chariot, you will never take birth again. Imagine to stop this cycle of birth and death is so difficult. But this is raining. This is the time where mercy is reigning. The Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra sitting on the chariot, if you take darshan, you will not take birth again. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, this Rath Yatra is happening all around the world, in all of the big cities of the world and the small towns of the world. And you can also take part in the beautiful Rath Yatra, yeah, and especially take the benefit of pulling the Rath cart with its ropes. Try to hold the ropes. It has a great significance, because when Krishna was in Kurukshetra Kurukshetra, I will not say battlefield, battle had not begun yet. Before the battle, one time Kurukshetra, Krishna had visited along the Dwarkavasis, and the Brajavasis also had come. And now Krishna was in a full in a kingly attire. He was in the kingly dress. And the gopis, what did they do? They caught hold of the ropes of the chariot, and they were pulling the ropes, saying, Krishna, we do not like to see you in this kingly attire. We like to see you in Vrindavan Vesha, right? Beautiful, you have a peacock feather, you have flute in your hand, your bended form, threefold bended form on the banks of Yamuna under the Vamshivat. We don't like to see you like this. They were pulling the ropes. Let us go back to Vrindavan. So similarly, when you take part in the Rath Yatra, you can pull the ropes. My heart is, I would like to make my heart as Vrindavan. Oh Lord, please come and sit in my heart. I want to make my heart pure and clean so that you can one day come and sit in my heart. So that's the Jagannath Rath Yatra. Please pray from my side as well, right? That, I can also make a sincere attempt of chanting Hare Krishna and trying to purify my heart, so that one day, rather than lust and anger and greed and all these vices sitting there, my heart will get cleaned, and Krishna will decide to sit in that heart and perform his pastimes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. So, Amritaripur, it's quite late now. I think you all must be having some, your, schedule of the day, the remainder of the day. Please continue on. And once again, congratulations on my side and my good wishes for all of you to conduct a very safe and nice yatra for everyone's pleasure. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna.